It is that time of the week to go outside and work on your plants. Taft Price meets up with our garden expert for 2 News in the Garden.
Well, once again this morning we're at Southwood Landscape and Nursery, and we're going to go out of the garden a little bit more and into the yard today with Mr. Paul James. And you know what, Paul? We're talking about Japanese maples today. It's a beautiful, beautiful tree. What should we think about if we're planning on purchasing one of these?
Well, they are indeed one of my absolute favorite trees. They do so much to really highlight a landscape. Most important consideration is where you site it. It needs morning sun, afternoon shade. If you put them in a southern or western exposure, they will fry.
And definitely this time of year, as we go out of the spring, we eventually get into the summertime, these plants are going to be still relatively new in the ground. That's something you're really going to have to consider, and make sure that they're getting plenty of water as well.
Especially newly planted ones. They need at least water once a week, and I mean a deep, thorough soaking, 10 gallons or so. And then as summer comes on, maybe twice a week, sometimes even 3 times a week.
And a lot of times when we think about Japanese maples, we always think of the red variety, but we have various varieties that maybe grow a little bit lower than what we'd expect. And tell us a little bit about that.
There are some low growers, that may top out at only 4 or 5 feet, but they'll spread a little bit, get much wider at the base. And then there are the green varieties, which a lot of people don't realize there are green Japanese maples. They're actually among my favorites.
And a lot of times we see some of these new homes, a lot of folks want to put these Japanese maples very close to the house itself. Is that something that we really need to consider if we want to plant one of these close by?
It's okay. There are some varieties that, they'll be just fine. The roots won't affect the foundation, so that's not a concern. It certainly is a concern with different types of trees and much larger trees, but most of these top out at around 15 feet, and some will remain around 5 feet. So you can put them close to the house. They're a dynamite specimen. They just draw your eye right to their location.
And what about pruning these type of trees? Is it something that you can do pretty easily?
Absolutely. You can prune them when they're dormant is probably the best time, but you can actually do some summertime pruning too, just to correct the shape and make them look a little nicer if you want to, or not.
And they're beautiful trees indeed, Paul. I appreciate it. And you know what? If you want to get outside this weekend and enjoy the wonderful weather, maybe you want to get one of these Japanese maples and plant it out in the garden or in the yard.